Hi guys, my name is Alex, and today we're going to talk about cloud native application bundles. I don't have a clicker, so I'll just move pretty much. But before we start, I have a couple of questions for you guys. So please raise your hands. How many of you are software developers? Okay. How many of you are working in operations, DevOps, or wow? This is for you. I'm joking. And I will assume the rest of you are managers or team leads or something like that. Okay. Okay. Have you heard about cloud native application bundles before? Raise your hand if you. Oh yeah, that's nice. And are you working with them or have you worked with them? Okay, you're a perfect crowd then. Okay. I have like a small heads up for you guys. This presentation, it's a little bit interactive. I made it interactive last night, so it might not be that good. So during the slides, you're going to find some QR codes. Feel free to scan them. This one, it's a pretty important one. It will allow me to know you better, know the crowd, and the guys who are coming right now. Okay, it's just one question related to the technology stack you are using at work. I know it takes some time to answer the question. Also, I didn't have a title for this slide, but I really enjoyed this quote. In order to reach your destination, you have to know the starting point. So today's starting point are you guys. And everybody voted? Raise your hand if you voted. Okay. And the rest of us? The rest of you? Like, you don't want to vote? Okay, so we can see the results here. So, wow, none of you the above. Okay, that's interesting. It's a challenge for me. So we have like a cluster which is using Docker, Kubernetes, or OpenShift, and some cloud. And we have a good mix, actually. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, moving forward. So, oh yeah, about me section. As I said, my name is Alex. I identify myself as being a software engineer and doing operations. I've worked in various domains like banking, telecom, and now in healthcare, I would say. I'm an SRE at Systematic in the customer operations team. And in my spare time, I like to help others and share my strong opinions on various platforms like Stack Overflow, Medium, HackerNoon, Dev2, Twitter, almost everywhere. Okay, today's agenda. I'll try to be short because I know after me is the lunch, so I have to be short actually. So we're going to tackle 3 subjects. What is CNAB, the current context from a technological point of view, and how we use CNAB, and when to use them. Cool. Have you scanned the QR code? Oh. Okay, so if we were to search on the internet what is CNAB, so stating the obvious, it's an acronym, Cloud Native Application Bundles. But like the definition is like open source cloud agnostic specification that aims to facilitate the installation and deployment of distributed applications, which is quite a mouthful. And first time when I read that, I didn't understand anything. But it all boils down to one thing. It's just a packaging format for the deployment of your applications, right? Basically, that's the presentation. That's it. Like, this is the important part, right? Let that sink in, because it's crucial. It's basically you can get rid of your ops people with this thing. And a fun story, when I did the presentation, in the background, the movie Kung Fu Panda was on because I had my TV on, and this turtle dude had a nice quote. It was something like, "Tomorrow is a mystery, yesterday is history, and today is a gift." That's why we call it the present. It's quite nice, I would say. Speaking of history, let's look back a little bit. So, when applications really started to become portable, I would say from my perspective, it's when Docker arrived at the scene around 2013. We can see a nice chart from Stack Overflow trends, which shows us the traction Docker gained in terms of questions and answers. And then the applications started to be quite portable. So we have the definition of our application, which is a Docker file, a classic one. As an artifact, we have our images, our Docker images, and as a sharing medium, we had a registry, Docker Hub, Nexus. It can be anything. And by OCI, it's an open container initiative. Actually, this initiative appeared after Docker. One important thing to say is that Docker wasn't the first containerization technology. We had some before Docker, like LXC, LXD, Rocket from CoreOS, but Docker really made containers mainstream and easy to use and maybe fun, I don't know. So we have a simple workflow in our day-to-day job. So you just build your image, you push it, someone pulls it, and you start to use interchangeable. You're not using applications anymore. You stay, give me the logs of the container. So instead of application, we started using containers. And the famous thing, it works on my machine. It doesn't matter anymore because we're going to ship your machine. We're going to put it in a Docker file maybe, and that's it. There's no problem. So we had containers. That was nice, but it wasn't enough. And orchestrators came on the scene. So we have Kubernetes around 2015, I would say. It was released to the world because we had new needs. We need to scale applications. We need to have self-healing mechanisms, right? So we had to work with things like deployments, config maps, stateful sets. If you're lucky enough, you can work with custom resource definition. So it was pretty crazy, right? And everything, literally everything, became a YAML. So you had to fight with the indentation. Like every object was a YAML. No code, only YAML. Okay, moving forward. What's the current context? So as an app definition, we can have like if it's a small thing, we can have a Docker compose, or maybe a deployment, or some Helm charts, right? So Docker files are used, but they are down somewhere. And in terms of toolings, what do we have? We have kubectl, Helm, I don't know, Tyler, multiple things. And new paradigms have arrived, like infrastructure as a code, DevOps, GitOps, NoOps, ZeroOps, DevSecOps, you name it. And like you can be at an interview and they were searching for operations engineer, and then they stated like, but we are doing NoOps here. Oh, that's fun. Okay, so in this whole context, in your day-to-day job, you're gonna find we're doing some interesting things, but the application is running, but it's restarted like 300 times. So you have to find out why, right? And then the pod will become your friend. You're going to spend some time with it to see what happens. Moving forward, now we're in the cloud-native landscape. How many of you have heard about cloud-native or CNCF? Raise your hands. Okay, nice, that's good. So what happens? Even though we might have same applications, they don't have the same needs in terms of shipping. So you cannot provide one single mechanism for all the applications to ship them, right? And then you're gonna have different flavors of operations, as I said before. And a funny thing appeared, like buzzword flex, I will call it. I was in a meeting with an architect, and literally in the first minutes, we were talking about service mesh, and the guy started like, yeah, we're using Pilot, Gale, Istio, sidecar containers, Envoy. And dude, I was, what the fuck? Okay. And going forward, like this is a part of the landscape. A funny thing, like each small square, it's a technology which addresses a certain needs, right? So here we have Kubernetes, we have Helm, Grafana, Prometheus. All of these things are under CNCF, which is Cloud Native Computing Foundations. So like the cool technologies started from here. And today we're going to talk about one small square, which is called Porter. The logo is this cat with a hat. I don't understand why, but an important thing to understand, like in CNCF, projects have 3 incubating or maturity stages: sandbox, incubating, and graduated. What does it mean? A project, in order to reach a stable version, a stable maturity, it has to graduate from CNCF. But in our case, Porter was released in 2020, so it's pretty bleeding edge technology, and it's in the sandbox level, meaning it's adopted by the visionary, let's say. So if you're using Porter, you're visionary, right? So as I said, cloud native application bundles is a specification, right? What does it mean? A specification needs to have an implementation. So there are three implementation: Duffel, Docker app, and Porter. Duffel is the reference implementation. Docker app, it was maintained by Docker, but now it's frozen. They don't maintain it anymore, and they started to use Porter actually. So Porter became the de facto CNAB implementation. Okay, and now to really dig down, like what does it mean, a specification, Porter per se? We have three things. We have our application images, which is the things that we want to deploy, to deliver. We have the invocation image, and this is the main thing of bundles, is the thing that bootstraps your installation and provides the tooling that the application needs to be deployed at runtime. It sounds complex, but it's not really. So basically, you can package, if your application needs kubectl or Helm or things like that, you can package it in the invocation image, and of course, you're going to have some definition, the bundle metadata. Okay, so how to use bundles, how to build them. So as I said, we have three main things: application images, bundle descriptor, invocation image. One important thing that Porter doesn't know about the underlying technology. So it relies on these things which are called mixins, and actually they provide the power for bundles. And a simple flow will look like this. Porter create, you're going to create your manifest. With Porter build, you're going to build your invocation image. And that's about it. If you know this here, you can just write it on your CV. I know bundles in Cloud Native. And let's try to do a small demo, just to be sure. Can you see my screen? So we're going to do our first bundle together. Whoop. And probably I'm going to do lots of typos. So as I said, Porter create to create our structure. Okay. Here in this directory, we have, oh, no, I need to go there. Cool. And here we can see that we have our manifest, the YAML file, and also we have, this is the default things that come with Porter, with a specific bundle. Let me explain you. So we have just one mixin, which is execute. It's a shell invocation, and a bundle by default has three verbs, three actions: installation, upgrade, and uninstall. And you can provide different things for these specific actions. So let's say we want to modify the install action, right? So basically what will happen, it will call this script. So here we can modify code camp, let's say, and let's make it more clear here. Install step, and also let's do uninstall step maybe, and by code camp. Whoop. Cool, save it. And now like the next step is to Porter build, right? Whoop. To build our bundle. And what happens now behind the scenes is that the invocation image is being constructed. Now we have a bundle, like a very, very simple bundle, right? And if we do like, we have three verbs: installation, upgrade, and uninstall. If we do a Porter install, whoop, we can see that our bundle is being executed. We can see the step, and we can see like the application being called, right? But this is not pretty interesting. It's just like a script, right? Nothing interesting here. So let's say you have an application. I think I have one. Oop. I think this one. So I don't know much about it. I mean, I know because it's mine, but let's say in general. And I will call like this. It's basically an application which does an ASCII art. But actually, I discovered that I can pass arguments and do things like hello code camp. Whoop. That's nice. And I want to package it, right? I want to deliver this application. Okay, we can do this. I have a manifest for it. Up. And we're going to replace our old manifest with a new one. And let's take it step by step. This is the bundle metadata, the name of the bundle. So we can say like CodeCamp bundle. This is our first version. Whoop. And here we have a description. Let's say this is a CodeCamp app. Bundle, not app, sorry. And here, actually, we are passing some parameters to the application. So here we can say description, message to say, default. This is default. Up. Hello. And we can see that we're using just one mixin, which is Docker. And we also have 3 verbs, 3 actions, install, upgrade, and say. They rely on my image, on the application actually. And we have a custom action, which is say, which basically consume the parameters that the bundle will take. So let's rebuild it. Okay. It might take some time. Okay. And now, like the interesting part, like the real value. The other guy doesn't know how to use it, right? Because like I'm going to ship it to you and use my application, but you can do a porter explain. And this is a very powerful thing because you can understand the deployment logic with porter by itself. And you can see the name. You can see that this bundle doesn't consume any credentials. So it's also a simple bundle. You can see, oh, okay, it takes a message. This is the default value. Oh, it has another action. I don't know why I'm pointing. It has an say action and no dependencies. Oh, okay, that's nice. I can try a porter install to see what it happens. So it's, 1 second. I'll have an error. Okay. This is my Mac issue. Whoop. So we're going to see, 1 second. Did I rebuild it? I have a problem with it. 1 second, please. Invoke. I think I have an issue with my computer. Actually, I skip a step. I skip the installation action, but I invoke the say action, right? So you can see I managed to pass some parameters to the application, and it allowed me to really use the power of the bundle right now, in the sense that I spin up the application and I pass the parameter based on my description. So it's pretty handy, but still is not powerful enough. It's like one application on my local. And we can continue the presentation. Like the real power comes when you want to do like more complex stuff. So in this case, I have another demo in which I need to install a Kubernetes cluster in an Azure environment, right? And the thing is that I don't know anything about the tooling in terms of kubectl, Azure client, or ARM templates. But the bundle will help me. So I can pause this. 1 second. Okay, what happens? I'm using a bundle. I'm passing some credentials. They are the credentials of the service principal. And then like the parameters of the bundle. Like if I do an explain on it, you can see it. And it's very flexible because I can specify the zone, the cluster type, the resource, because the bundle will create a resource, then we'll create a cluster in that resource with a certain size, node count, with a certain VM size, VM flavor, and everything is done just by running a simple bundle. So you don't need operations anymore. Like you have a bundle, you just pass the bundle to your team, and they will be able to do like very, very complex things. It takes some time. Actually, I speed up the whole process. I can go a little bit further also. Okay, and another thing that the bundle does is just to consume the context. So after the bundle is installed, you can see the resources have been created. That's our cluster. We're going to see that we have a node pool with 2 nodes. And also, it's ready to use in the sense that you can use kubectl to connect to your cluster. The credentials are configured in your kubeconfig file. So it's pretty powerful. Now I think I'm searching for the node pool, which is left here, to be sure that the cluster is healthy, more or less. And it's easy to scale. You can rerun the bundle and apply to increase the cluster. We can uninstall all the resources. So yeah, it's pretty powerful. And now I will tell you how we use CNAB at Systematic. We have this platform which is called Synergy. And you see, it has like a crazy mix of technology. It has Grafana for tracing, it has Jaeger, OpenSearch. And basically, the whole platform stands on cloud native, on bundle. So if you want to install the platform, you don't even need to know the technologies or how to install them or how to configure them, because we're going to provide you a bundle and it's out of the box functionality, right? So we deliver in a small period of time, like complex solutions for you, and you can use everything, and you can even customize it because you can uninstall the bundle. So it's a pretty nice product, for real. Yeah, so some closing notes. Another powerful thing about CNAB is that you can use them in air-gapped environments. Like, you don't need to have access to cloud or to have like a cloud provider. If you're using on-prem stuff, you can still use cloud-native bundles. It's not a golden hammer, meaning that if you don't have applications that needs customization in terms of deployment, it's probably not for you, right? And even though there are numerous ways to deploy containerized applications, what bundles provide you is a shipping mechanism in which you have everything, like the applications, the tooling with the specific versions, the configurations, and the deployment logic. Like, have you seen in the case with Azure? Like, I package everything in terms of how I will deploy the cluster, because beforehand I need to create a resource, right? That's the logic, like the dependency of the steps. But the bundle like encapsulated everything and allowed me to just run one single thing. And yeah, mainly that was it. If you have questions, please feel free to ask. Where do you start with bundles? That's a good question. Like, you can check their documentation, understand when to use it actually, and you can search for your mixin. For example, if you are using, I don't know, AWS, you're going to have a mixin for that with a pretty good documentation. And you can just plug and play in your scenario. So let's say you want to deploy a database maybe, you have a mixin for that, and you start incrementally, I would say. No more questions? Oh. Oh yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. So Porter is written in Go. Basically, you can create your own mixin. They have like the default mixins for known technologies, let's say, but you can create for your own needs, like your own mixin, and leverage it in your case. We have prizes, by the way, if you ask questions. So I guess that's it. Let's go to it. Yeah, actually the projects are using Synergy platform in production. So let's say you are a project and you are using containerized applications. You have a Kubernetes cluster, but then you want to have logging. You want to have, I don't know, tracing capabilities. Synergy will provide that. We create the bundles. We ship the bundles to you, and we're going to tell you, just run the bundle, and you can customize it in terms of parameters. And a nice thing also, like the bundles doesn't store credentials. It consumes credentials. So if you have things like service accounts, you don't have to give it to us to embed it in the bundle. Yes, please, young man.
What are the typical issues or challenges that you have?
That's a good question. It's not very stable. It's not at the moment it's not a stable product. So, like you might find that you cannot find default scenarios for you, and as the other guy asked, you had to create your own mixing. So in terms of, I don't know, stability and complexity, you have to dig down a little bit. And also, it has only one dependency. Let's say you have to have Docker. And that's it. It leverages containers like Docker, container technology, more exactly. I have a question. Do you feel that you might want to use CNAB bundles? Or not really? Yeah, the project has to, I don't know, benefit the usage of bundles. But I would say like in a couple of years, you're gonna see CNAB bundles on job descriptions. I can bet that, but not right now, like in 3 or 4 years. You don't agree with me? Yeah. No. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much then. Okay. Thank you.